Whoa. Oh, no. No, no, no. What the hell happened? Wow, I just went crazy. Hello, everybody. My computer just went woo on me. Hi, Twila. How are you?
Just fine. How are you?
Good. That's a way to start out, right? I did
Yeah.
something and I just went poof. Wow, it's going to be a night. Anyway, Twila, is that how you say your name?
Yes, Twila.
Okay. I didn't want to say it wrong because I've been, it's like, no, I don't need anything else. Sherry was here very early. Gonna go play with the pups in the pool for an hour. Them, not me. And then I saw this while we were backstage talking and I had to crack up. Rick, good evening. And yeah, that's a good haha. This is Lynn, 22Q Cat. Hi, Cindy and everyone. And Andy, hello, everyone. I'm actually on time. Yes, you are. On time for me to see me screw up. And Rick saying hi to Lynn. Hi, Andy. Rick, back and forth. Evelyn's here. Ooh, I just saw her. There's Evelyn. I gotta watch. If I hit anything else, I'm sorry. I thought I lost the whole stream there for a minute. Hit that like button. Yes, please. Brenda Foley's in the house. Hello, Brenda. And Rick got good seats, front row. Downside is you have to sit next to me. Well, hello, Jason. This is my son, and he never calls me Cynthia.
Oh, that looks like a walleye.
Is it Jason? He never is on the live stream with me. I'm shocked.
Okay.
Holly's here. Hello. And saying hello. Rick says, sorry, I'm running for selectman in my town and we'll have a video. So nice. Nice. Well, good luck with that. I can handle the seating arrangements, Rick. Well, ain't that nice? It was a bass.
Oh, a bass. Okay, it's hard to tell from here. Smallmouth or largemouth?
Probably largemouth. Largemouth, Jason?
Yeah, because we fish for smallmouth and walleyes in Minnesota in the summer.
Yeah. Largemouth. That's what I thought.
Largemouth, yeah. That's what I grew up catching was largemouth.
Yeah, I don't go fishing. That's them. This is my kids, my
Okay.
grandkids. They like it. My grandsons like it. But no, not me. So anyway, Twila, like we were talking backstage. When you sent me your pictures, your before and now pictures, I was absolutely amazed. I mean, I'm like, people think mine look, I know mine look really different. Yours are just outstandingly incredible. So how did you get started?
Well, yeah, that was a that was a long story. I started it was probably 8.5 years ago. I was just getting sick a lot. I had been morbidly obese most of my life. I think in 5th grade, I weighed 150 pounds. Then I dieted a lot and I graduated at 170. But after having kids with my health issues, I just put on weight. I went from overweight to obese and then eventually morbidly obese. And I was always dieting. So what happened was 8.5 years ago, I was sick all of November and December and January. I was on and off medications. My blood pressure, they kept adding more blood pressure medications. My cholesterol was horribly high. I had been diabetic, type 2 diabetic for 24 years. Wow. And those numbers just kept going up. When I lose weight, I would go from like maybe an 8 or a 9 down to a 7. But 8 years ago, I was a 10. My A1C was 10. My blood sugars I hadn't taken them for 4 or 5 months because my meter broke and I was sick, and when you're sick, your blood sugars go up. So I thought, well, I'll just wait. We went down to Florida for a couple weeks, and I had a tooth that was bothering me. It needed removed. And so I said, okay, when I get back in late March, I'll go get the tooth removed. And at that point, I weighed 410 pounds.
Wow.
And so I went to the doctor to get the tooth removed. And he said, well, we're going to check your blood sugar. And he said, your blood sugar is 400. He said, we cannot pull this tooth. He said, we could cause infection, and we could cause some serious damage. So he said, you come back when your blood sugar is under 200. And I had never been that high before. So everything was getting, and the October before, she had put me on more diabetic medications. I was on 2 or 3 of those. I was on 2 or 3 blood pressure medicines. I was on medications for migraines. I had 15 days a month with horrible migraines. I was on 2 different kinds of depression medicine. I had battled depression for 20 some years. I had PCOS. I had insulin resistance. I had non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, hypothyroid since I was 14. So I just had all these, I knew they were metabolic issues, and I was dieting, and I would lose a little bit of weight and then I'd gain it back. But I always ate lots and lots of healthy carbs, fresh fruits and vegetables and whole grains. I ground my own wheat berries. I made my own whole wheat bread. I was eating what they consider a healthy diet. I cooked from scratch. We didn't eat out very often.
Right.
But I didn't lose weight, and my blood sugar stayed high. And then I was getting sick all the time. So I was actually, I think, almost in shock. So I went to my doctor just in tears. And I said, okay, I'm going to go back on Weight Watchers, because 5 years earlier, I had lost 100 pounds on Weight Watchers, but I was eating like 900 calories, and I was swimming laps 6 days a week for an hour. So I was over exercising, under eating. And yes, I lost some weight until my body, my metabolism slowed down so much that I started gaining weight while I was still dieting. And so, but I told my doctor, I will go back on Weight Watchers. I have to get this under control. And this was the first time that she said, I've been looking into something. She said, would you consider going low carb? And I said, well, yeah, what does that entail? And so she said, well, I want you to start out. I want you to eat no more than 100 carbs a day. And I never want you to eat a carb without eating some protein. And you have to go at least 4 hours in between your eating. And she wanted me to go 12 hours fasting. So if I started eating at 8 in the morning, I had to end by 8 at night.
Right.
So that's what she started on. I didn't even know. I knew carbs were bread and pasta and potatoes. I didn't know fruits and vegetables had carbs. So she said, I want you to start tracking your food, and just for the carbs, just look at the carbs. So I was like, okay. And at this point, I hadn't weighed because I didn't have a scale that went up high enough. So I didn't even know for sure how much I weighed until I went into her office. And that was my highest at 410. Wow. And so I knew that I was in this for my life. I was trying to save my life. And I thought, okay, I'll do Weight Watchers, or I'll do this low carb. I'll lose 50 pounds like I normally do, maybe lower my medications, lower my numbers some, and I'll just kind of keep going that way. That's what I thought would happen.
Mhm.
And so I came home and I started tracking and I thought, boy, this is hard, you know. And I wasn't a big sugar eater. You know,
Mhm.
my snacks were like air popped popcorn or nuts, lots of fruit. I ate a lot of fruit. I ate a lot of raw vegetables and stuff. Um, but boy, when I started adding them up, I thought, wow. So I did that for a couple weeks, and I noticed after a couple weeks, I was only eating about 80 carbs because I started cutting more stuff out. I noticed I was full longer.
Mhm.
I did get another meter, and my blood sugar started coming down. And so I went back at 3 weeks later, the end of April, and she said, "Wow, I had lost 22 pounds." No, I'm sure it was water weight,
It's
for
still
being
weight. That's
it's
right.
still weight. It was 22 pounds, but my blood pressure was coming down and my blood sugars were coming down. At that point, I was under 200 that I went to get the tooth removed.
Yep.
And so then she said, she said, have you ever thought about a ketogenic diet? I said, I don't know what that is. So she told me what it is. She suggested I read a book, and she gave me several books to choose from. And so I went and got the book, and she said, just keep going. And every 3 weeks, I said, listen, if I'm going to do this, I want you to monitor me because I've got all this medicine I'm taking, you know. And she said, yes. So every month I went in, she weighed me. We took blood work every 3 months so she could adjust my medications. And when I first read that book about a ketogenic diet, I looked at my husband and I said, this is impossible. Nobody can eat 20 grams of carbs or under. Nobody. This is
Yep.
impossible to do. And I thought, well, what do I have to lose?
Mhm.
I have nothing to lose. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll try it. So I worked my way down to 60 grams of carbs, and then I worked my way down to 50, and then 40, and then 30, and then I kind of hung there for a while. But the weight was coming off of me. I mean, for the first 4 weeks, I dropped 30 pounds. The
Awesome.
second month, I dropped 27 pounds. I was so scared. I called my doctor and I said, something's wrong. I should not be losing this much weight.
Yep.
Something is wrong. And so she asked me if I was in ketosis. So I did test and it looked like I was in ketosis. And at that time I was doing about 30 carbs, and she was keeping track. I was calling in once a month because she had to keep lowering my blood pressure medicine
Yep.
and my cholesterol medicine and my diabetes medicine. And at 3 months, my A1C was down to a 7.2 from a 10
From
to a 7
10.
from a 10 in 3 months. And I had lost, I lost 30 and then 27 and then 23. So 60,
80
about
pounds.
80, 90 pounds in 3 months.
Mhm. Wow.
And so, but then it started, slowing down. I was still losing weight, which I thought, okay, but I was feeling better. I had more energy.
Mhm.
And just see what was for me was seeing those blood sugars. My blood sugars were down to in the low 100s by 3 months.
Right.
And so I thought, well, I'll just keep doing it. Now I did eat berries. The first 3 months I did eat berries because fruit was my favorite food group. And that was really hard to give up. So
Yep.
after 3 months, I thought, I'm going to try giving up the berries. And my blood sugars went down to around 195 to 100. So
Nice.
I kept seeing more improvement. And so I thought, okay, I'll just keep going. Now, of course, my family's concerned because they're seeing that mom's eating a high fat diet is what they're hearing.
Mhm.
And back when I started keto, I was following the thing, maybe 60, 70 grams of protein, 100 to 120 grams of fat, and 20 grams of carbs. And so that's what I was doing. But I started noticing that fall then, I was losing muscle mass. I could just see it in my arms, and I don't have super heavy legs. I could see it in my calves. But I thought, well, this is what keto is. And so my kids are like, Mom, you're just eating too much fat. And I don't think this is healthy for your heart. And so I was tracking my food, and I had gotten really good at tracking all my foods. And so I started tracking their foods, and I showed them that they were eating more fat than I was. It's just the percentage of my fat was higher because my carbs were so low.
Right.
So yes, it is a high fat diet, and I tried to explain to them, I'm burning ketones now. I'm burning fat. I'm not burning glucose. But they were still kind of concerned, And meanwhile, my mother is saying, you'll never lose weight eating high fat. You'll never lose weight eating high fat. Well, I am losing weight, Mom, and I've already lost more than I thought. So I kept going. And at 6 months in, that was the end of the year, my A1C was 5.6.
Nice.
And
wow.
She said, I'm going to take you off the last medication. And then I went down to a 5.0, and I have maintained a 5.2 around there for 7.5 years now.
That's amazing. I'm going to catch up on the chat, and then we'll get back.
Okay.
When you said it's a long story, Sherry says we are all in for long stories. That is why we're here. Kay's here. And everybody's saying hi. Sherry wants to know, what is PCOF? And I know it's PCOS.
Yes, S.
So what is that exactly?
Polycystic ovarian syndrome. I had the kind that it didn't have any cysts. And there's like 15 different, it's a metabolic issue. It's from too much estrogen, I believe, estrogen dominance, also insulin resistance. There's like 15 different things you can have, and I had every single one except I never miscarried, but I had 4 premature infants, which is another part of it.
Wow.
So it is, it's high cholesterol, high blood pressure, diabetes, insulin resistance. I have too much testosterone in my body, so I have extra facial hair. And I've had that since the age of 7.
Wow.
I had tons of skin tags all over my body, which actually have fallen off. That's a sign of insulin resistance. And those started when I was 7 or 8. I had, I'm not sure that the name of it, I had about a 1-inch thick black band around my neck and under my arms, under my breasts. It just different places on my body. It was so much insulin in my body, it was pushing it out. And I had these black things all over me. My skin, it was just a velvety black thing. That's all gone. Mm-hmm. It's all gone. So some people can't get pregnant with PCOS. I could get pregnant, but I couldn't carry full term.
Wow.
And so I wasn't diagnosed till I was 44 with that. Wow.
And so you said you had 4 premature births, and I'm hoping they're all good.
They're all good. Yep. Good. Yep. They're all alive.
Lisa is here. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Nope.
Evelyn answered her question. I think PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. Sherry is here. Saying hi, liked and shared. Thanks. And this is my husband, Brian. He's back out in the other room listening.
Okay.
And He thanked Lynn. Lynn sent him a birthday card because Sunday is his birthday.
Well, happy birthday.
Yes. Sherry says, I have PCOS too. Great to see your success. We're just touching it. We're just barely touching it. Hello, Nancy. And again, thank you for your card. Happy early birthday, Brian. I'm glad USPS got it to you in time. I did a video about how the post office messed up. It was funny. So anyway, so you're off of most of your meds, or all of them. Last of the blood pressure med, or the last of the diabetes meds. That's where we were.
At 6 months, I was down off of all the diabetes meds. I was off of all the blood pressure meds and off of the cholesterol meds. My triglycerides had gone from 400 down to 120. And I now run in the 30s and the 40s with my triglycerides. My HDL was in the basement. I was at 14 when I started, and I now run around the low 80s. So nice. I brought my HDL up. My LDL, it came down to within the normal range. So I got off of those medicines. I got off the migraine. Oh, the migraine. Within 1 month of going low carb, no more migraines.
Nice.
The arthritis in my hands went away. Had no more arthritis in my hands, and I was taking medications for that. I was still on some depression meds. So about a year in, I started weaning off the depression meds, and I got off of the depression meds. And I had tried through the 24 years that I took them. I had tried to get off of them, and I never could get off of them.
Right. So I was telling. Go ahead. No, go ahead. This is your story.
So, because I have a past history of childhood sexual abuse, some rape and abuse in my teens, and then I had 4 premature infants. 2 of them almost died, and by my early 30s, I had a major breakdown. I went into a clinical depression. And so they started me on meds. I started into counseling. And then that was a whole journey while I had one kid that was very, very ill. Wow. I mean, we were in and out of the hospital for 3.5 years with him. So much stress. So that's why it took me a long time. And I was on more depression medicines, and I had worked down off them, did a lot of counseling, made peace with my past. But that was just, there was just a couple that was hard to get off of, and I never could until I went keto.
Wow. It's like we were saying backstage, it's amazing to me how many health benefits I have absolutely heard doing these lives from so many different people. Not to mention the weight loss, but the health benefits are just incredible. And it just amazes me all the time. I really didn't have, I had high blood pressure, and I was pre-diabetic, but other than that, my blood work was always pretty good. It was, they never did check my A1C until I asked them to right after I started keto. That's when I found out I was pre-diabetic at 5.8 A1C.
Yeah.
And when I went back to talk to my doctor about the blood work, he says, I'm not worried about you. He said, you've already lost 20 pounds. It was like weeks after I started keto.
Yeah.
He says, you're doing what you need to do. I'm not even going to say anything to you.
Now, I do take a small dose of thyroid medicine still. Mm-hmm. My whole life, I gained weight. Like I said, I would lose a little bit doing a diet. I'd gain it back. My metabolism has been in the basement my entire life. I could go all day long and eat one meal, but I'd still gain weight. And I didn't have energy. I had to take naps. Of course, weighing 410 pounds, I had to take a 2-hour nap just to get through the day.
Right.
But But what happened about a year to a year and a half in, my thyroid started converting the T4 to T3. It was starting to work. And I got diagnosed when I was 14. And by this time, I was 55 years old. So now I take a quarter of what I was taking, my thyroid medicine, and I take it 4 days a week.
Wow.
And I have no more fatigue. My energy is just from the time I get up all day long. I just have so much energy. So I've never had a metabolism that worked like this. So
It's
that
wild,
has
isn't
even
it?
improved. Yes. Because I'm always told, well, you just got a low metabolism. You're not going to fix it.
Yep. It's crazy. It's like, I think the highest I got was a little over 300 pounds. And, seeing that one in front of my number, it was like,
yes.
I was ecstatic. I hadn't seen that in, let me see, my oldest son is 44. I hadn't seen that in 44 years.
Yeah.
42 years, as I hit it a couple years ago. So, it was like, wow, it was just
getting back to those hundreds. And then I hadn't been under 175 since I got married, and I've been married 42 years. Mm-hmm. So I actually got down to 140. And I had never, like I said, in fifth grade, I weighed 150 pounds. I had never wore a size 12 in my life.
Right.
Never. Because I went right from chubby clothes into a 14. Mm-hmm. And so I was just thrilled. Some people say, oh, a 12 is too big. And I'm like, hey, I'm just thrilled to be here.
Yep. I get it. It's like my sister, Deb, that got me started on keto. When she didn't have a lot of weight to lose. She was mainly doing it for her daughter, who was diagnosed with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease.
Yeah.
And she was researching all these diets. And she says, she found keto. She said, I'll do this with you if you'll do it. Yeah. This is to my niece. So they started it. And like for 3 months, that's all I heard from my sister is like, oh, you should do this. You should do this. You should do this. And I'm like, oh, fine. 3 months later, fine. And, I thank her all the time because I would never have done it if it hadn't been for that. Yeah. But she had a little bit of knee pain. And within a week, it was gone.
Yeah.
She's a couple years older than me. And it was just incredible.
Yeah, the inflammation that goes. And I did have 2 really big stalls. Mm-hmm. I had about a year and a half in, I just quit losing. I was still eating the same. Well, and then I guess I should go back a little bit. About 9 months in, somebody introduced me to Craig and Maria Emmerich. Mm-hmm. And I looked at her cookbook and I thought, I was such a picky eater. The first 9 months, the only vegetables I liked was salad and green beans. Mm-hmm. Seriously, I was that picky. And I thought, oh, I just can't eat all this stuff that she cooks with. And I don't know about this. But I joined their Facebook group. And that's when I started realizing, because I had been following a diabetic group that said you cannot eat too much protein. You're going to make your blood sugars go up. And so then I started talking to Craig Emmerich, and he was like, no, you are under eating. You are losing muscle mass. Mm-hmm. And he started talking to me, and I said, you know what? You're right. I can see it in my arms and my legs. I'm losing muscle mass. So he convinced me to try to go to 90 grams of protein. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. And at first Now I had normal blood sugars, but at first I did see a little bit of a rise, 20, 30 points, just at first, when I ate more protein. But after a month or so, I wasn't seeing much of a rise at all.
Right.
And so then I started, and so then I started cutting the fat down. I took my protein up to about 100 grams, cut my fat down to maybe around 80 grams, kept the carbs at 20, and I lost weight. But then a year and a half, I just quit. And so I thought, you know what? At that point, I was probably, I think the first stall I was still over just barely over 300. And I thought, you know what? If I just weigh 300 pounds the rest of my life, that's okay. At least I'm going to be healthier. I had a stall for 18 months.
Wow.
I lost no weight. But somebody told me, why don't you start measuring? So I started measuring, and I lost 24 inches in that year and a half, and I went down 1.5 sizes in clothing.
Nice.
So I didn't lose weight, but I was shrinking. Mm-hmm. Then I started losing again. So I thought, okay. So then I started tweaking a little more. By now I was going up to about 110 grams of protein. I dropped that fat down to about 70 grams because I was learning from the Emmerichs that the lower carbs is what makes you in ketosis. You don't need a ton of fat. I got fat on my body. I had 300 pounds of fat on my body. Mm-hmm. So what I did was I started dropping the fat a little bit, and I started losing weight again. So then I lost more. I got to, I think it was 215, and then I had another stall for 10 months. Yep. And at that point, you know, I just kind of kept tweaking what I was eating, changing some stuff. And I started trying some of these other vegetables. And I found out I liked them. My taste buds had changed. So now I eat all kinds of low carb vegetables. But I still wasn't into her hard boiled egg pudding because I hate hard boiled eggs. I'm not a big egg eater.
And I love eggs, but I've never done that pudding.
I'm sensitive to eggs. Mm-hmm. If I eat too many of them, everything goes through me. So I found out I was sensitive to eggs by going without eggs for 5 months. And so now I just limit them. But I did a couple of years ago, about 3 years ago, I tried her hard boiled egg pudding. I was shocked at how good it was. And my husband loves it. He tells me to make that all the time. And I have a grandson who loves the peanut butter. I make a peanut butter flavor for him. Mm-hmm. And he loves it. And he can get his eggs in because he's not a big egg eater either.
Wow.
So I started following them and just learning more information about how the body works and how the body processes the different macros and tweaking stuff for my body, you know. Then I did start losing some more weight. At this point, I think I was about 4 years in. But like I said, I was 215. I got to that 199. I thought, boy, if I can just get to 170, you know, that would be really nice. Mm-hmm. And I stopped about 185. I started reading up about protein sparing modified fast. And oh boy, I don't know. That just, I don't think I want to go that low and power. That's never worked for me. But I knew my metabolism was working better. So I had one of the Emmerichs moderators I became friends with, and she convinced me to just try it 1 day a week. Mm-hmm. Just 1 day a week. And so on that 1 day a week, I eat carnivore is what I do. That's how I started so I just ate carnivore, very lean proteins to get my protein up, keep the fat low.
Right.
I started doing that and I started dropping a little bit of weight. So then I did 2 days a week And I did that for about a year, and I was able to get the rest of the weight off by
Wow.
doing 2 protein sparing days a week, and then just doing my regular fat loss macros the other days. And then I said, okay, I've never maintained in my life. I don't want to go back
Right.
because life was hard.
Hmm.
I mean, people say when you're big, people just thought I ate all the time. I ate less than my family. I ate less than most people. It's just my body didn't work. I could not handle all those carbs from all the fruits and the vegetables and the whole grains.
It was
It
holding
was
on to everything because you weren't eating enough. That,
no, I wasn't. I wasn't eating enough,
that's what
and
it is.
it was so many carbs, and
Right.
my protein was low.
So Sherry has a question. She said, forgive me for asking, but losing that much weight, did or do you have loose skin?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. I'm pretty muscular in my arms. I do have loose skin in my upper arm. My waist actually got down to a 31-inch waist. Right now it's maybe 33 inches because I've had some hormone issues here the last year and a half, but I never had that small of a waist in my life. But I have a lot of loose hanging skin filled with just some fat in my lower abdomen, off of my hips, and into my upper thighs.
Mm-hmm.
If I wear shorts, I got great looking legs till you hit about mid thigh. Then you do have some loose skin.
Yep.
And yes, I go to Florida and I wear a swimsuit. It doesn't bother me.
That's right. Evelyn said, I think we need to change the dialogue regarding this issue. We are losing mass, not weight. Yep. And another Sherry says, how long was your weight loss journey?
5 years. And then I've been maintaining for the last 3.
Yep. And this is my granddaughter who made me a great grandmother. Hi, Trinity. And they're saying hi. So now you've lost all this weight from 400 to one.
I lost 270 pounds.
Jeez, that's incredible. What does your day of eating look like now?
Well, on my normal day of eating, like this morning, like again, remember, I can't do a lot of eggs. I can do eggs a couple times a week. Now I can do eggs if they're in something with some other ingredients.
Right.
I'm okay. I'm okay with that. So I do make the Emmerich's carnivore bagels that are made. It sounds gross. It's made with some hamburger, some chicken, eggs, some gelatin, some salt. Has some nutritional yeast in it, and it's a free recipe on her blog. But I didn't care for them plain because you got to make an egg sandwich. Well, remember, I'm not real big into eggs. So I learned how to make lemon ones, cinnamon maple, or a chocolate one, or add some peanut butter powder and make a peanut butter one. So a lot of mornings I will take a bagel out and I toast it up. And sometimes I'll put a little bit of a cream cheese, like a tablespoon of cream cheese with some cinnamon or something. I do some sweeteners. I don't do a lot. I don't like that sweet taste because I actually went a year and a half with no sweeteners, no almond or coconut flour, because I didn't know what the heck I was doing.
Right.
So when I went that long without any sweet, I can't handle much sweet anymore, even if I do use some approved natural sweeteners, So I'll maybe have a carnivore bagel, and I now eat in a 6 to 7 hour eating window.
Yep.
With the intermittent fasting, I did go from 12 hours to 14 to 16. And most of the years that I lost the weight, I was doing a 16 and 8 in an 8 hour window.
Yep.
So I was doing intermittent fasting, which I think helped the insulin resistance, the blood sugars, and all that. I now do a 6-hour eating window. And I can't eat a lot at one time. So I'll do that carnivore bagel. Or if I do eggs, it'll be a 2-egg veggie omelet with a couple pieces of bacon, or 2 or 3 ounces of some Canadian bacon or some ham, something like that.
Right.
And then for my for lunch today, what did we have left over? Oh, I had made some, it's an old recipe that I grew up, but I made it keto. It's a ham loaf. So it's made with some hamburgers, some lean sausage, and some ground up ham. It's got some crushed pork rinds in it, a few eggs, a little bit of almond milk, some seasonings, some celery, some onion. And I have a lot of these recipes on my Facebook page. So I had a decent sized one of those. And then what else did I eat today? I make some of Maria's, they're called protein sparing modified tortilla chips, but I make them into little cracker shapes. And it's mainly egg whites. It's just kind of protein. So I had a half a serving of those. And then for dinner, I ate 6 ounces of my smoked brisket that I smoked myself. So I trimmed the fat. And I pretty much just had that.
Nice.
Last night I had a salad. So I do eat some vegetables. On my protein sparing days, that's where I do like those carnivore bagels for my protein sparing day. And then I will eat either, I roast up whole turkeys, you buy them frozen. I keep turkey breast in my freezer and some broth. I find that, or grilled chicken breast, or pork loin, flank steak, some of those really lean, and then I just eat mainly protein. A carnivore bagel, and then I have some protein, and then I have some more protein. That's pretty much what I eat.
That's awesome. Andy says, wow. When you said how much weight you lost. And Evelyn, wow. Lynn, 270 pounds, fantastic. You are awesome. And Rick says, this is an amazing story. Yep. And Evelyn has a question. What's the Facebook page? Twila Longenberger.
I have a public Facebook page. It's Living Keto with Twila.
That's your private page, right?
It's not private. It's a public page, but it's my keto page.
Gotcha.
So
if you could send me that link,
I will send you the link. Yep.
Then I'll put it in the description of this live stream so people can find it.
Sure. And we don't just do keto. We talk about carnivore stuff because, like I said, some days I eat carnivore. Some days I eat keto. And I just want to get healthier recipes and options out there for people, even if you just want to clean up your diet.
Right. Absolutely. There's Paul. Hi, Twila. Nice to see you outside of Maria's keto group.
Yeah.
Paul Madhouse, since you might not know my YouTube name. Yeah. He was on the live stream a while back, and then he came on with Brian and myself on a Wednesday night. Because, like I said, I told you earlier, my husband is type 1 diabetic, as is Paul.
Yeah.
And it's been great getting to know him too. It's awesome. And then Sherry says, carnivore bagel sounds awesome. I missed whose recipe that is. Maria Emmerich. Yep. Wow, congratulations on your weight loss journey. So inspiring. Thanks for sharing your story. I totally agree. And Evelyn already found your link and posted it.
Thank you,
Evelyn. Lisa just joined your Facebook group, Twila. That's awesome. And hello, Defense Whiz. I love that name. So yeah, and she is also in my Facebook support group.
Yep.
Twila's in there. So yeah,
And I do moderate all the Emmerich's Facebook groups. They asked me actually about 3 years ago, and I turned them down at the time because I didn't feel like I knew enough. And then in 2023, the fall of 2023, I decided to, well, I started moderating for them, but then I decided to become a certified keto, carnivore, protein sparing, modified fast health coach. And I've had a business now for a year. And I just want to help other people who have lost. You know, when you weigh that much, you think, and you've been on every diet, you just think there's no hope for you.
Right.
You know, and life was hard. Like I've told people, I couldn't fit into every bathroom stall. I couldn't fit into booths. I mean, I had to be careful about where I went.
Yeah.
And life was hard. I hurt all over. You know, it was just, life was so hard living. And another thing that I found early in my journey, there's a guy, a YouTube guy, I think it was a YouTube, butter makes your pants fall off.
I've heard of that. I haven't seen him, but yeah.
Okay, butter makes your pants fall off. I followed him, but what struck me the most was he said, we all make sacrifices. I was sacrificing. I couldn't go on walks with my 4 sons, adult sons. None were married at the time. Some of them lived here. I couldn't go on walks with them. I mean, I didn't go places because I was too wore out, or I couldn't fit into chairs, or, you know, I mean, people bullied me. People always thought, well, she just eats too much. If she would just exercise some, you know, and so life was really, really hard. Well, he says we all sacrifice. So what are you going to sacrifice? So I decided, well, I'm already sacrificing a whole bunch of stuff in my life. This isn't the life I want. I want to be thinner and energetic and have my health and be able to go with my kids and someday run after grandkids.
What you're doing now.
What I'm doing now. You know, and so I was like, I'm not sacrificing food. I'm just making different choices. I'm picking a different choice. I'm going to give that up so I can have something else. And that just really resonated with me. And so my whole thing is, there's always a better option. And I tell people, if what you're doing isn't working, it's not working. You got to change something. You got to find something. So I like to help people learn and educate themselves about how the body works, how this diet, whether it's carnivore or ketovore or keto, how it can benefit them, and try to make it so they can do it in their lifestyle. And with the foods, if somebody hates eggs, I'm not going to tell them to eat eggs every day.
Right.
I mean, that's just stupid.
Right. Well, this just led me right into this. Sherry, she's been really big on not eating meat for a long time. I just started eating more meat. I've always eaten chicken, but now I'm eating pork and hamburger too. And today I eat hot dogs. It has been a minute. Now ask this girl if she'll ever eat a steak, and she'll tell you absolutely not. Now you're a health coach. Love it. Yes. Asking Sherry how she's doing. I was right there with you, Twila. Yep. Just joined your page, Sherry did.
Thank you.
I made homemade lupin pasta and made mac and cheese with hot dogs in it. Very good. I know she said she had a pasta maker. We were watching. Do you watch Chris Cooking Nashville at all, Twila?
Yes, I have. I have a friend who has. I've tried his pasta. See, I gave up pasta for all these years. I thought I ain't going to start back up, but I did try his pasta with the shrimp. That was quite good.
I'm telling you.
That was, and my husband was skeptical, but we did enjoy that. Yes, we did.
Yeah. There's so many. I've tried quite a few of his recipes. Yeah. The latest one, his hush puppies. They are amazing. And oh my goodness, the man is a genius in the kitchen. Butter
Yeah,
Bob.
Butter Bob. Yep, that was him.
Watched
Butter
him many
Bob.
years ago, Lynn says. I wish I ate keto when my son was younger. I feel like I missed so much. But you got, Sherry, you got to hold on to the memories that you do have and not dwell on what you don't have, because that is going to make you crazy.
Well, and the thing is, okay, I was so large that my kids had to bring my groceries in. I would make sure I got home from the grocery store when they got home from school so they could bring my groceries in. There's a lot of stuff I couldn't do with them, but you know what? We cooked together. I let them have friends over. We did do stuff together. It's just I wasn't as active as I would have liked to been.
Right.
And you can still form that relationship. And now
her son, I believe her son is 18 now.
Yeah,
And
you can go forward. Now I go
absolutely.
on long walks with my kids. I go hiking with them. And they've been inspired to eat healthier because of me. And now I can keep up with my 2.5-year-old grandson who's just go, go, go.
And she has a new grandbaby that's just weeks old.
Yeah.
Yeah, Twila was scheduled to come on last week, but then we were going away because we found out when the services were for my father-in-law. And so I said, are you okay with postponing this one more week? Because, things happen and we can't do it. I can't do it. So thank you, Twila, for that, first off, because life gets in the way sometimes of things that you want to do.
I had 2 or 3 weeks I couldn't do it because I was helping with last minute appointments, and then the baby was born, and we went up and lived for 4 days with our grandson while she was at the hospital. And I'll tell you what, 8 years ago, I would have not been able to do that.
Right. 2.5 years old, they're busy children.
Yes. Yeah.
They are on the go. So Andy says those hush puppies are amazing. If you like hush puppies, I don't know. Those are really, really good. Easy recipe, Twila. Easy.
Okay. I'll have to check that out.
They're good. I got to make those hush puppies at some point in life. I've never gotten gelatin because I've never had a reason for it. Think I might have to get a small tub of it soon. Yes, sir. If you want to make Chris's recipes, it's in just about every one.
Well, I don't think a lot of Maria Emmerichs have gelatin in too.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of gelatin. So yeah. I actually buy it. What Kroger had a going out of, they weren't going to carry their brand anymore. Every week I bought 4 huge boxes, the great big ones. I got enough gelatin. I had it all this year, and I got enough for next year.
Wow. I don't think I will do the pasta maker again. It was really hard just to get spiral or macaroni shape. Easier to just roll out, cut with a knife. Taste was awesome. Yeah. Nope, no steaks for this gal. I always say if you put one in front of me, you will be wearing it.
You know what? I want to encourage her because I have a son-in-law who was a vegetarian. And then he married my son, and my sons are chefs. Okay, they do all the cooking. They can make anything. And he started seeing some of the chicken recipes my son made. And he said, you know what? That looks really good. And so he started just with a little bit of chicken here and there. Mm-hmm. And I said, you've got to give your digestive system time to catch up to make those enzymes to digest the meat. And he now eats about any kind of meat. He will not eat a steak with a bone in it or chicken off of a bone or ribs off of a bone. He doesn't want anything off of a bone. But in 5 years, he has come a long way, just little bit by little bit. Mm-hmm. And that's
what she's been doing little by little with adding meat.
And
since she's been watching us and all this.
That's great.
Evelyn, what was hard? I missed something here. Oh, Evelyn was saying, how are you doing, Sherry? Was that hard with the hot dogs? And nope, that wasn't it. Sherry said something. Yeah, I just started eating more meat, eat hot dogs. It's been a minute. And Evelyn was saying, was that hard? That's what it was.
Yeah, it is.
Mhm. Evelyn said, I swore I was going to buy whey protein or butter powder, but my lady laugh a lot, hooked me up. Hush Puppies coming Sunday after my fast. Yep.
Oh, eating the hot,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. So Sherry said, I'm a vegetarian who now
That's
eats meat,
okay.
but steak will never cross my lips. I have tried it. It is gross to me.
I guess more for the rest of us that love steak.
That's right. Oh man. I've
Yeah,
always been a meat lover,
yeah,
but when I was younger and eating the sad way,
yeah,
I would always eat my meat last because I had other stuff on my plate that I had to eat. And that was my favorite. So I always saved my best
same
for last.
steak, yeah,
So if I got overly stuffed, it was because I was determined to get that piece of meat in with
yeah.
everything else that I had to eat, like the potatoes and but it was like, oh, dang. Now it's like protein first. And if I could fit
Protein, that's
anything else
right.
in, it's
Yeah,
okay.
that's what I do.
Good evening, Larry. So, yeah, it's been a whirlwind of information and that we've all ingested that have started this journey, and it's just like, wow, so many people to listen to and so many opinions and so many different ways of doing things. And I know we can beat this into people until find what works for you. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. You've got to do it your way that works the best for you.
Yeah,
Otherwise it's not going to be sustainable. And
yeah,
that's the most important part. And that's where the maintenance comes in. Is if it's not sustainable, it's not
yes,
going to be maintained for
yes,
sure.
yeah.
Steak, pork chops, and all red meat was gross to me growing up. My mother was a terrible cook. Most meat tasted like hockey pucks.
That's
Oh no.
probably why.
Now this is Evelyn. That's
Yeah.
not Sherry. This is
I
Evelyn.
know, but what
Yeah.
my mom wasn't real great at cooking meat either. Then my dad took over. My dad could cook meat, but my mom overcooked everything.
Mhm. Well, my
And it was,
mom has to have her meat,
yeah,
had to have her meat well done.
yep,
Any little speck. Now
yep.
I like it medium to medium well.
Hmm.
I don't like it rare because if it's still
No,
bleeding, it's not done yet. I can't do it. And they're saying hi to Larry. But yeah, and I have a younger sister that has to have well done meat. And I'm like, it's too tough that way.
yeah,
It's really tough. But it's wild. I'm like, you are such an inspiration, Twila. I'm so glad you are here. If anybody has any more questions for Twila, I can't think of any, but this has been great getting to know you and hear your story, which is absolutely incredible. Uh, you know,
well,
I
it's not something I ever thought I would get to. It really isn't. And each day I am just so thankful for the life I have. Now, I like to be real and upfront and authentic with people. Okay.
absolutely.
And 24 years of being diabetic did some damage with plaque in my veins. And 18 months into my journey, I had already lost quite a bit of weight. I did have a silent heart attack. My blood
Wow.
pressure and my pulse just dropped. They wouldn't stay up. And they said, "You're not having a heart attack." But I went in and I had to have some stents put in.
Mhm.
So at that point, what I did was I dropped the fat a little bit more, tried to eat leaner cuts of meat, and I was watching my sodium. Well, because they said, you got to watch your sodium when you have heart. Yeah, you know what? My blood pressure, I finally got it up, but I couldn't, I had to have the sodium because I don't eat anything processed.
Right.
I eat nothing processed. I'm not even a big deli meat fan. I mean, I'll eat a little bit when we go to Florida if I can find a clean brand, but I'm just not a hot dog deli meat, And so I I had lower blood pressure. It was almost too low. And then when I started doing some electrolytes and a little more salt, that leveled out. So I've maintained that now, well, for 6 years. I have had no more heart issues. And I did find out 2 years ago, I started having a big cyst on the side of my knee. We didn't know what it was. I was doing a lot of exercise. I was walking probably 4 miles a day, doing core strengthening yoga 4 times a week, and I lift weights 3 times a week. So I was doing, but I did that walking daily. And so I was doing a lot of exercise, and my knees started kind of bothering me. And I found out I do have arthritis in my knees. Of course, weighing 300-400 pounds most of your life is going to do that. And my knees are getting closer to bone on bone. So the last couple years, I've had to, once a year, I get a shot in my knee. Just kind of helps it that I can still go walk, but I've cut that down, So I do walk, but I'll maybe go for 15 minutes at a time. Some of the yoga I had to give up because it was too hard on the knees. I still do the strength training. And I love to, when I go to Florida next week, I'm going to get in that pool and I swim laps and I do everything in the pool because I can do a lot more in the pool. But, just because I'm now at a better size, that didn't undo all the damage that was done to my body. So I like to be real and upfront with people that, you may still have some stuff that comes up.
Now, I have a question about that, but did you ever have your CAC score done?
No, I hadn't even heard of it until after I had the stents. And now they said, once you have stents, you're not going to get an accurate.
After hearing, and everybody here knows this, Dr. Berry's saying, everybody should know their CAC score and all this and others. June of 22, I went and had one done.
Okay.
Now, mind you, I had been on blood pressure medicine since I was a teenager.
Okay.
And my CAC score was over 5,000. And everybody's just coming in at 0 and 100 and freaking out if it's not 0.
Yeah.
Well, I caught a live stream with him and Dr. Ovadia.
Yeah.
Okay. So I paid to ask a question because I had just gotten my score back and I was totally freaking out. And, I'm like, I'm going to die, So I told him what the score was, and Dr. Ovadia answered the question. He said, use it as your baseline since you hadn't had one done before and go back in a year and stay the course as far as eating.
Yeah.
And I did, and I went back in a year and it went up over 6,000.
Okay.
So then I saw that Dr. Ovadia was on a live stream with Intentional Carnivore, Sean White.
Yeah.
And I got to ask him another question about that. And he said, typically, as we age, your CAC score goes up 20%.
Yep.
Mine went up 10%. I said, all right, I'm going to take this as a win, and I'm never having another one done.
Yeah.
Because I was beside myself. I was so nervous and so scared.
Yeah.
And that high score puts me in a 95th percentile to have a heart attack.
Yeah.
I've had an echocardiogram done. It was good.
Yeah.
I was on a heart monitor for 2 weeks. It was good.
Yeah.
I feel good. I'm not going to stress about it. I can't.
And even though
I
had that silent heart attack, okay, my EF score, she comes in, she goes, oh, you have an EF score of 65. And I was like, well, that's terrible. I'm thinking 65 out of 100. She goes, no, that's 65 out of 65. And I was like, oh, okay. So I didn't have any heart damage. I've had, and I do see a cardiologist twice a year because because he wants to keep an eye on me because I had no symptoms.
Right.
None. Besides that morning, I just couldn't keep my blood pressure, my pulse up. So I went in and it didn't show I was having a heart attack, but I did have, but the number one thing he told me, my cardiac surgeon, the number one thing he told me was, you have to keep your diabetes numbers in control. Because at the time of the heart attack, I had good cholesterol, I had good blood pressure, and I asked him, and he said 50% of my patients have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and 50% have low. That don't mean a thing. So his thing is try to keep the triglycerides down, which I do because I run in the 30s and the 40s.
Yeah.
And keep your diabetes under control. He said, for me, that is one of the number one risk factors. I have had no more issues. What I'm supposed to do, because and now I see a different doctor than I started out seeing, and he says, you kind of scare me because you don't have symptoms. And
Yep.
I said, well, he said, if you can't walk for 10, 15 minutes without, and I walk fast. And so he said, if you start noticing you're really, having trouble breathing, I want you to call me. I said, okay, I'll do that. Yep. I do take a very low dose statin. The reason I do is not to lower my cholesterol, but once you have, and I've got like 4 or 5 stents. Okay. So once you have that, it does help with the blood flow. And I have checked with the Dr. Ovadia. There's another some cardiologist I've talked to, and they said, once you have heart disease, there is a benefit to taking it. So I do take a low dose statin.
Well, years ago, they put me on a different doctor 20 years ago. He put me on a statin. And I had such a bad reaction to it. I had so much muscle aches. I couldn't.
Yeah.
So they put it down that I was allergic to statins because it was a bad reaction.
The first 2 they put me on, I had the same thing. And the one doctor put me on such a high dose, and they no. They said you also have to take CoQ10. I take 400 milligrams of CoQ10 daily with my 20 milligrams of my low dose statin. Okay. I don't have any muscle aches. Good. I do have to watch because they say that can make the A1C and the blood sugars go up. So, I have to kind of balance, but every person has to see what are all your issues and how are you going to balance everything. Right. I had a client the other day. Her CAC score was 400 or 500. Her husband's was 0. A year later, her husband had a heart attack. She has not.
Right.
So, it's.
It's scary.
I don't worry about it. Yeah.
For me, it's scary. However,
it is scary. Yeah.
I can't stress about it because that's going to make it worse.
That'll make it worse. Yep.
So, it's like your life is predetermined for you anyway.
Yep.
And as far as when you're going to go, how you're going to go, whatever. I believe that. Yeah, thank you. Because it's like
I do. Yeah.
I have to live my life.
Yeah.
And if I stress about this and worry about it, and it's going to control my life, and I'm not going to be living my life. So it's like, it is what it is. Yeah. Seriously, it is. Nancy Tanner says, I have a hard time eating beef. I can handle hamburger and an occasional steak if we eat out. I cooked my first roast in a crock pot until it was about to shred. I was able to eat it. Surprising. Yeah, the more tender the meat is, the much better it is and easier to eat. My mom had my dad convinced that he couldn't eat red meat because it was unhealthy, says Evelyn. Yeah, that was the old adage back then,
My mom says the same thing. The red meat is causing her gout.
Yeah. Sherry said, that's right, y'all, get the steak. My ex was a sad gourmet chef, and he tried for 23 years to get me to eat steak.
Oh,
I would eat his once in a while, but rarely. He is why I gained weight. He was a chef, yeah.
yeah.
Amazing chef, but all the wrong foods. I get it. Larry says, Holly 1122 QCat and everyone else, I hope you're enjoying a glorious day. Yep, so same here. If you don't mind, can I ask your age, Twila?
Yep, I'm 62.
You're my husband's age until Sunday is his 63rd
Yep.
birthday. Sherry says, no, Evelyn, I like the hot dogs. I just never ate them because I thought they were bad for you. And Trinity asked me, did I say, yes, honey, I saw it. She just sent me a new picture of the baby. And I'm sure she wants me to share it.
Oh, he's a sweetie.
He is. He is. Oh, nice, Sherry. We don't eat a lot of hot dogs. My daughter's allergic to them. We eat bratwurst instead. I like brats. I'm not a hot dog fan.
Yeah, me neither.
Hello, Amy. Hi, everyone. Sorry I'm late.
Oh, I know Amy.
Yeah. She says, Twyla, I'm a big fan of yours. I'm also a Maria Emmerich winner. Yep. Holly Springer. Hi, Amy. And everybody's saying hi to Amy. Karen from Low Carb Spin. Hi, everyone. I'm late too, Amy. As long as you're careful. Because usually she's driving home.
Yeah.
Hello, Karen. Hi, Karen. Everybody's saying hi. Let's all say in unison, "Aw," with the baby.
For the baby
yes,
picture.
he is absolutely precious. I was so glad to be able to finally see him and hold him
Oh, yeah.
and everything. So cute. Yes, stinking cute. She sent me a video. I showed Twyla, or I didn't show Twyla. I showed you a different picture. She sent me a little video yesterday. He's trying to suck his thumb.
Oh,
Adorable. It's absolutely adorable. He's just crazy. But I could be a little bit biased. just a tad.
hey, yeah. grandmas are supposed to be biased.
Yeah, and
Yep.
especially when
great
you
grandmas too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You're 62. I'm 66. I'll be 67 in May. Okay. And Wednesday night on the live stream, we were talking about birthdays because Brian's is coming up Sunday and he'll be 63. And one of the guys in the live, John, he says, I didn't think you guys were that old. And I'm like, thank you, but I feel it sometimes. You had better be a whole lot biased. Yep, you got it. I definitely am. He is just precious, as I'm sure your new grandbaby is.
Oh, yeah. She smiles, and she laughed at me the other day. She's 4 weeks old, and I got a laugh out of her.
Oh, wow. That's adorable.
So I thought, that's cute.
I hope I look as good as you ladies when I turn 60. Listen, this girl just put up a video playing the piano. And she's amazing. She said she wanted to get back into it because she hadn't done it for a while. Thank you, Amy. And you, to Brian and me sending. Oh, man.
Well, happy birthday.
I need your address, Amy. You got to text me. I've asked people if they want to be on a birthday list because I enjoy sending cards and receiving cards because this is something from back in the day.
Yep.
The mail communication is so lacking these days, and it's so anyway, I have gotten people to send me their birthdays. I have a book that I'm putting birthdays in by the month. I have an address book that I've been keeping track. And do you know, I got back from the funeral services were Monday for my father-in-law, and we got back on Tuesday. Amy said, played serious piano in 30 years. Well, you did an amazing job in that video, girl.
You know what? I played a lot too. But I haven't. I had to quit when I had arthritis in my hands so bad.
Mhm.
So I tinkle around with it now, but yeah, it's probably been 25, 30 years since I've been played it serious too.
Yeah. So anyway, I got back on Tuesday afternoon, and I came in here Tuesday night, and I'm looking at my book as I was writing down the dates as I got them in. And don't you know, today, and Joanne, if you're watching this, happy birthday. Your card is in the mail. She lives in Canada. And I mailed her card as soon as I saw it the next day after we got back. I mailed it Wednesday. And I'm like, I'm sorry this is late. But yeah, I had to go to the post office to make sure what the postage was out of the country.
Oh yeah.
And I found out no matter where in the country they are or outside of this country, it's $1.65 for a card.
Okay, because I have one I want to send to London.
It's $1.65.
Okay, that's good to know.
And they have international forever stamps.
Really?
Yes. I bought 5 of them.
Okay.
I found a lot of stuff out this week. You learn something new every day. I don't care how old you are, you're going to learn something.
You can always learn.
Mind to it.
You're never too old to learn. Yeah.
That's for sure. So yeah, it's like, it's wild. I would like to be added to your birthday list. Will you share a list when you have one, please? Nancy Tanner just texted me. I want to be on your list. At least it's not $31, Cindy. there's a story behind this, Twila. I forgot my own sister's birthday card, getting it out in the mail. And my sister Deb, who hasn't shown up in the chat yet, so I can say this, she just turned 7.
Oh, okay.
She just turned 7. So I knew it was a big one, and I wanted to get the card in the mail. I sent it overnight. I went to the post office. It cost me $31.40 to overnight one card to South Carolina from Kentucky.
Oh my.
She didn't get it till the 8th. I was so aggravated. I mailed it on the 5th. It's guaranteed overnight on the 6th. She didn't get it till the 8th. I marched my butt right back to the post office on the 9th, and I did a video while I was on the way. I said, I better get my money back. They gave me cash, no questions asked, $31.40 right back in my pocket.
Well, that's good to know.
It is. I'm telling you, but I was livid. I was like, I wanted her to have it for her birthday, and because I forgot my own sister's birthday card. I was like, oh, so yeah. And that's when I came up with in that video that I wanted to do this because I don't want to forget. Book. I'm telling you, but that was wild.
I have my books. I have a weekly menu that I plan. Mm-hmm. I have a daily little book that I put daily stuff in, and then I have my calendar book. Yep.
Oh, starting January, I have a planner. I have a budget planner. I'm like,
yeah,
I do. And then I have these, and I'm like, and I have my calendar for the live streams.
Yeah.
And it's just wild. I'm like, I don't want to forget again. Not that I minded paying that money to send my sister something.
Yeah.
But I don't want to forget. Yeah. My husband's mother died a year ago in October. She had dementia. His father that just passed away at the beginning of January had Alzheimer's. And, his family, it is prevalent on both sides of his family. Yeah. And that being that it's being called type 3 diabetes.
Yeah.
And he is so controlling his type 1. I'm like, we're going to fight this because I
Yeah.
don't want him to go through that.
Yeah.
Jerry said, I tried piano lessons when I was a junior in high school. I was terrible. LOL. You know you're bad when your 6-year-old cousin played better than you. Dang. Oh, wow. This Maria makes those bagels out of hamburger. I just sped through, so don't know all the ingredients, but I am going to try them. Yeah. like Twila said, they're free on her website.
On her mindbodyhealth.com. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
He
you
has
just,
great recipes. I haven't tried any of her bagels. I have her 30-day cleanse book. I have
okay.
a couple of her other cookbooks. And yeah. And Amy, yes, happy birthday on Sunday. You'll get a card. You give me your address. It'll just be late. And I'm sorry, but I didn't know. Or did I? And I forgot. You know, my family, we had a great aunt that raised my mom and her 2 brothers. And she lived with us till she died. She was about 70, I think. And she fell. And she had open ulcers on her legs and always kept her legs bandaged up. And she never married. It was her brother's kids, my mom and her 2 brothers. And when their father died, their mother left the picture and left the kids behind. And this woman, that's the only thing I can think of that would be anywhere like dementia. Back then it was called senile. You're senile.
Yeah.
There was no words of dementia and Alzheimer's back then. But after she fell and wound up in the hospital, I was like 12. And my oldest sister took me, we went to the hospital to see her. She had no idea who we were. And it was like, when you look at it now, she had dementia. She had or Alzheimer's. She had something like that. And it was horrible because she lived with us until that day. And then she went from there to a nursing home, and she wasn't there long, and she passed away.
Yeah.
It was like, wow. You know,
my mother-in-law had dementia her last 5 years, and then my father-in-law passed away from cancer. And she was alone for 2 years, but she was in a nursing home. But my husband and I, she just treated me like a daughter-in-law. I mean, like a daughter. I was her daughter-in-law, but she treated me like a daughter, and we just went and did so much for her. She knew us. There was a lot of stuff she didn't know towards the end, but she did know us towards the end. And I was working at that time, and I was overweight at the time. So I was working 5-6 hours, and then I would go to the nursing home for 4 or 5 hours and help with her.
My mother-in-law was the same way. My husband and I met 21 years ago, and she would get me a card, or if she'd get us a Christmas card, she'd say, to my son, and it would say on the card, to my son and daughter-in-law. She would scratch out in-law. It would say son and daughter. When birthday cards, same way. Daughter, whatever, we got along really good. But yeah, when she died, she had been in a nursing home. She knew who we were. When we go visit, after we moved away from New Hampshire, when we would go back for visits, we'd go to the nursing home, and she would see us in the doorway. She said, Brian, Cindy. She knew who we were.
Yeah.
It was the short-term things that she would forget. She would repeat herself.
Yeah.
She would say, I'm not allowed to drive, but, waiting for a ride or something like that. She forgot that she was there.
My mother-in-law thought they were tying her up because she couldn't walk very good, and they would put that belt around her to stabilize her. And she didn't trust them. And so I had to go to get her to take her medicines, to get her to eat, to get her to do those last 6 months. But you know, my father-in-law asked us to be there for her,
Mhm.
and I said nobody should die alone.
No.
You know, and so I said we are going to be there, and that's what we did. And I was so glad that we did that. That
Yeah.
we put that time in. And
Well, my mother-in-law, when she passed, she had gotten RSV. She went into a hospital on a Thursday. By Saturday, she was dead. You know, it was like
yeah,
quick. That stuff is no joke. That RSV is horrible. But that's what she died of. More so, I mean, she didn't die from dementia. She had dementia, but which is what put her in the nursing home. But she had gotten RSV, and it just took her so fast. It was bad. We didn't even have time to get there. My sister-in-law was there with her, so she wasn't by herself. And you know, I think she called Brian, and while the mom was still breathing, so that Brian could tell her he loved her. You know, I believe so. But it was just, it happened so fast. I mean, the day she died, we were in the car. We were got up early, got out the door to drive up there. That was bad. Karen said, Lynn, we make her bagels into a bread loaf.
Yeah.
Sherry said, I have a piano. It holds Nevada and Little Karma's ashes and lots of pictures and Mickey Mouse and yellow rubber ducks, which I collect. Yeah. Nevada Pup is a dog she had that passed.
Okay.
So Maria has 42 free recipes for bagels.
Okay. It's the carnivore bagels is the one that's made with the hamburger and the chicken. I have made them with just all chicken breast instead of the hamburger and the chicken breast. I think they're a little bit fluffier, more bread-like that way. But on my page, if you look up carnivore bagel, I posted most of the recipes where I've changed them and made them into like the lemon or the maple cinnamon or the chocolate or the, you know, peanut butter. And
I'm going to be looking for that because I found the recipe on her YouTube. Great idea on the bagels, Karen. I take care of my mother-in-law. She has dementia. Yeah, it's hard.
It's hard.
And they're similar, but they're so different.
Yeah.
Oh my word. My father-in-law, he had no idea who he was, much less anybody else. He thought he was his own father.
Oh.
Before he went into a home, they were all still living in their house. I mean, they were both still living in their house, and we were still living up there, and we'd go visit. And he would look at us and he thought Brian was his son, and he thought he was his own father. And Brian's dad had, I think, 11 siblings, or there were 11 kids in that family. And one girl, all one lonely girl. And there, you know, I think only the youngest one, I think he's the last one left now. But he would look at us and he'd say, when's Yvette coming home? Yvette was his wife sitting right next to him. He had no idea. None. When we go to the nursing home to see him, the last time we did see him, he was asleep in this area where they would eat, you know, and he had a hard time. He was 90 when he died. And he would always put like a towel around him as a bib.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was asleep. So Brian was sitting next to him and woke him up. And he looked at Brian with a smile of recognition on his face for the first time in years, you know. And Karen, Brian's sister, had gone to see a medium. And whether you believe in any of that stuff, you know, whatever. It was a friend of a friend that she knew. And they told her that mom had been seeing dad and dancing with him, but then he would have to leave to go back. And when we saw Dad at the nursing home, Brian asked him, "Have you been dancing with Mom?" And just this look on his face was like overwhelming smile that, you know, was like, oh my God, it just hits, you know, it did. And that was probably, we were there in August and he died January 5th.
Okay.
And, you know, because of the weather conditions and stuff, they delayed the service. But, you know, he was cremated right away. But that was just, that's what Brian's going to remember forever. You know, those recognition smiles when he looked at Brian. It was like, and I caught it on, you know, a picture, and it was just like, wow, you know. But those are hard. Their diseases are really hard for the families, for sure.
Yeah.
Evelyn, 42 different recipes. Which one did you use? What you just said that. Carnivore bagel.
One. Bagel, yep.
Yep. Sherry, I think they might be different flavors based on a similar base recipe.
Okay. I'll tell you what, she's got one called Carnivore Muffins, which she has kind of revamped her original because I don't use the nutritional yeast and I don't use as much salt as the original recipe. So the Carnivore Muffins, and she's got those in a chocolate and a lemon poppy seed, and it might be a cinnamon one. Mine's a little bit different. I always link, if I take one of her recipes and change it, I always link the original recipe and then put what my changes are. Okay. What I've done. But yeah, so the carnivore, I just thought about that now. You do not want to use the original amount of salt. It's way too salty.
That wouldn't work for me, that's for sure. And the pup in the picture is Nevada.
Okay.
I'm going to make her carnivore pizza crust for when my sister comes in Friday for a pizza party. I usually make the protein sparing crust, but not since the egg white powder issue. Sounds good. We just use sausage for our crust.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I've used ground beef for a crust, for a pizza. I've had the chicken crust.
Yep, I like the
I've
chicken
done
ones
egg
too.
white bread as the crust. Hope and Andy on Mission Keto, Mission Carnivore, they have a thing. They have a recipe they got from TikTok that makes crackers that they've made into the pizza crust where it's crispy. Mm-hmm. And it looks good. And it's carnivore. It's like, it looks good. Yummy, Evelyn. I usually eat pizza bowls, but it's a special occasion, so I'll make up some crust. Yep. Here's the carnivore muffins recipe. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn.
Evelyn's on top of it. She is awesome. She is amazing, amazing. But anyway, we have been over an hour and a half now, and I don't want to take up any more of your time. If you have any last words, if somebody was going to ask you how they would get started on a keto, low carb, whatever journey, what would be the first thing you would suggest they do?
The first thing I suggest they do is get rid of sugar and flour and just start tracking your carbs. I have people I have clients from the standard American diet who don't know a thing about it. And the first thing I do is say, get rid of white sugar and your flour. And let's just start tracking your carbs. So once they start tracking their carbs, and we don't always start them at 20. Sometimes I've had people, let's start at 100 like I started. Let's just start at 100. You know, I've had women who have lost weight just cleaning up their diet, just getting down, you know, and then pretty soon they're going, hey, I'm only eating 75 carbs. And hey, now I'm only eating 50. So I usually have them start like that. Then we start eating more protein. Don't
Mhm.
worry about the fat. Let's just start eating more protein, because most women are not eating enough protein on the standard American diet.
Well, I'll tell you, I had, when I started, I went whole hog, 20 total or less, right off the bat, right from the get-go, started tracking right away, did everything the way I was supposed to. Now, I've had gastric bypass surgery back in
Okay.
2007. And if I eat fast, I can't eat enough. So I really have to slow my eating down
Yeah.
by per meal. And we usually eat 2 meals a day. And I can eat a good 1 pound steak easy.
Oh, see, I can't. Yeah.
Oh man, it
Yeah.
takes me a while, but I can eat
Yeah.
that. And it's like, if I don't eat anything else with it.
Yeah.
But typically I like to pair my steak with a couple eggs. That's my favorite meal of all, steak and eggs. I can do carnivore, but I like keto chow, and Choc Zero is my other one because I have a very bad sweet tooth. But that's it. But yeah, it's very meat heavy for me. And I
And
can do
that's,
it.
yeah, that's what I do too. Very meat heavy. Like I said, today I didn't have any vegetables. Tomorrow I'm not having any vegetables. I think the next day I am. So I just kind of, as it works.
Mhm.
If I feel like something.
Yeah,
So
well, that's just it. To keep it sustainable,
yes,
you
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 have to make
have
it.
to eat what you want when you want it within reason.
Yeah.
If you want to maintain this, or you want to keep improving your health, or keep losing weight, you
Yeah.
can't go willy-nilly and say, I'm going to go get cupcakes or a cake or, the crap from the stores.
Yeah.
But if you want to make that stuff and you know what's in it and you can do that,
Yeah.
and keep it in your macros, or keep it in
Yeah.
your wheelhouse, basically, you've got control of it over those ingredients.
Yeah.
Evelyn is a great example of that. She is a baker. This woman, she does fantastic stuff and keeps it in the keto thing. She also makes the others for other people. But
And
she
I
is
do the same.
fantastic baker. I'm telling you.
My family is not, my adult children, when they come and their spouses, are not keto. I have
Right.
one that's paleo, one that's gluten-free, one that used to be a vegetarian, and the rest eat standard American diet. So I make some of that stuff for them. But my husband, now I do a lot of baking. I make a lot of keto recipes for my husband
Right.
because he wants to keep healthier. I put him in the freezer, and I mean, I'll take a bite or so, but then I'm like, okay, that's fine. But
That's
you're
good.
right, it has to be sustainable. So if I'm
Mhm.
hungry for some ice cream, I'm gonna go make some keto ice cream. Or if I'm hungry for that chocolate pudding, or I'm gonna make some of the Maria's hard boiled egg pudding.
Right.
And I eat a partial serving.
Yep.
So yes,
It's
that's what we have to do to make it sustainable.
If it wasn't for Maria Emmerich, I would never have come to KPL and met all the lovely keto family. You are my keto family. Yes, Evelyn, and you all are mine as well. So you take the carnivore muffin and cook it in a donut pan. Sorry, last minute question.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Well, you can do it in a muffin pan if you want. It's just the macros are going to be, a little bit different than when you do it in the bagel. But yeah, I have a donut pan is because I actually make some chocolate donuts, Maria's chocolate donuts for my husband. So I
Your
just use
husband,
that, and
your husband's one lucky man. I'm telling you.
I think he kind of forgets sometimes how lucky he is.
Nah, probably not. Hello, Stephanie. And yes, we're just about to tie it up here. But we love you, Svelin. I'm so thankful for KPL 2024 too. Yes. Do you go to meetups or like events?
I haven't well, okay, I did go, we spend our summers in Minnesota, in an RV on a lake. Yes, you can stay keto and still eat keto in a little
Oh,
4x7 kitchen with limited cooking supplies. I just make it
mhm.
work. So one year, a couple years ago, Maria had an event, and I had some friends that wanted to go, and we went down to her event for the day. I haven't gone to a lot of other stuff, just because my husband had surgery a couple years ago, of course, with the grandchildren. But it's something I would like to do in the future. Yes, and this summer, my friend and I in Minnesota, we put on a keto summit. And
Nice.
we just invited kind of local people to come,
Mhm.
that we knew were interested. So, but yeah, it is something that I would like to do. I am retired. Well, I work part-time with my coaching business, but maybe as the grandkids get a little older.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've been to Keto Palooza 3 years, and they're not having it this year, sadly.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, I went to KetoCon, and then in 23, Hack Your Health in 24. It's the same
Okay. Yeah, it's the same
conference.
one.
We're not going to that one this year, but I've gone to a lot of local, like three and
Yeah.
a half hours away from me, local
Okay.
meetups. I'm hoping, Nancy, if you're still in here, I'm still counting on going to Florida the beginning of May for a meetup they do with Central Florida Ketos.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm hoping. I really am trying to work that out. So, but yeah. Sherry, the avocado brownie recipe makes a good chocolate donut. I use keto focused recipe. Sorry, I can't type. I don't have my glasses on. Well, girl, I have made those, Holly Springer. I am looking for a good bagel to eat with cream cheese, like the high carb ones. You and me both. If you find one, I want to find a recipe where they don't shrink to where they're this thin. I want a
Yeah.
good meaty, not necessarily meat, but a good hearty bagel. I caught you, Amy. Dustin calls me Jebelin. Now I've got Svelin. You went Swedish, Evelyn. All righty. Anyhow, well, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And thank you, everyone in the chat, all my members scrolling across the screen. I appreciate everybody. I love Stupid Easy Bagel recipe. They taste like Cheddar Bay biscuits. I've got a recipe. Well, it's All Day I Dream About Foods recipe for Cheddar Bay biscuits. That woman, whoo, she's something else with her recipes.
Yep,
But
I've got a
anyway,
few of hers too. Yeah.
oh my goodness, I have books of hers. It's like they're crazy. I guess I misunderstood. I thought that was what Twila was making. She said bagel, but I guess it was more like a donut. It was a meat bagel, right? A protein
It's
bagel.
made with meat and eggs and gelatin, and it is bread like. It's not a donut. I do make chocolate donuts in the same thing, but yeah, it's the carnivore bagel or the carnivore muffin will be more bagel like, more bread like.
Yep. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna hit up your site. Send me that link and I'll put it down here for people that
Okay,
didn't grab it out of the chat.
I sure
Just
will.
message it to me and I'll put it
Okay.
in here. But anyway, everybody in the chat, thank you for joining us. Fridays are tough, and I appreciate everybody showing up every Friday for me. I can't do it without you guys. And Twila, thank you so much. You have a great evening. It's been great hearing your story and getting to know you. And oh, you just have an amazing story.
Well, thank you.
But everyone in the chat, good night. Brian and I will see you on Wednesday night. And Twila, if you can hold on for 1 second.
Okay.
We will see you later.